I never planned to destroy his life until he destroyed mine first. That thought was the only thing keeping my hands from shaking as I stood in front of the microphone, staring at him. Ethan. Perfect, charming, golden boy, Ethan. Behind him, the projector screen glowed with his presentation slide. Integrity in business and relationships. Building trust in a broken world. A bitter laugh almost tore its way out of my chest. Integrity. He had no idea that the next 10 minutes were about to burn his carefully curated image to the ground. The banquet hall was packed. His colleagues, our friends, his parents, everyone who'd ever praised us as relationship goals. Tonight was his big night, a keynote speech at his company's annual gala, with the CEO in the front row and promotion rumors floating in the air like confetti. And I was the supportive girlfriend, the loyal partner, the quiet shadow at his side. At least, that's who they thought I was. He smiled at me from his seat in the front row, that same smile that used to make my heart feel like it was glowing. Now it just made me sick. "Go ahead, babe," he mouthed. "You're going to be great." "Oh, I will be. Just not in the way you think." I turned back to the microphone. The room went silent. I could hear the clink of a glass somewhere, the faint hum of the air conditioning, my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. "My name is Ava," I began, my voice sounding steadier than I felt. "I'm Ethan's girlfriend, and I was asked to open his speech tonight with a few words about trust." I paused, letting the silence stretch. He thought I would talk about how supportive he is, how honest, how loyal, how lucky I am to have him. I looked straight at him, but that would be a lie. A small murmur rippled through the crowd. His smile faltered. Good, I thought. Start feeling it. Because this is where it all unravels. The past and betrayal. If you had met us a year ago, you would have hated how perfect we looked. We were that couple. Brunch on Sundays, matching coffee mugs, soft arguments about which Netflix show to binge next. He'd tuck my hair behind my ear when I was working, kiss my temple, call me my brilliant girl, like I was his secret weapon. We met when I was 24 and he was 27, at a mutual friend's rooftop party. I was standing by the railing, staring at the city lights, thinking about how small and lost I felt in a place with millions of people. "Do you always look like you're about to break up with the skyline?" a voice asked next to me. I turned, and there he was. Easy smile, blue eyes, the kind of presence that made it feel like the room quietly rearranged itself around him. "I'm not breaking up with it," I said. "We're just reevaluating our relationship." He laughed. "Then I hope you're open to rebounds. I hear I'm great at those." I rolled my eyes, but the truth is, he got me that night. We talked until everyone had left, about jobs, childhood, movies, the way we both overthought everything. I told him I was a UX designer, still trying to figure out what I wanted my life to look like. He told me he was in marketing, one promotion away from becoming creative director at his firm. "I'm going to build something big," he said, his eyes shining. "Not just for me, for my future family. I don't just want a good life. I want a story worth telling." Back then, I thought we were that story. For a while, it genuinely felt like it. He was thoughtful, attentive, the kind of guy who remembered the exact way I liked my coffee and that I hated cilantro with a passion that bordered on violent. He'd bring flowers to my office sometimes, just to see me blush. He'd leave sticky notes on my mirror with things like, "You're enough even on the days you don't feel like it." He met my parents. They adored him. He introduced me to his. His mother hugged me like I'd been visiting for years. His father clapped him on the shoulder and said, "Hold on to this one." I thought I'd won. Not just love, safety, a future. We got an apartment together 18 months in. A small, sunlit place with crooked floors, and a balcony that overlooked a noisy street. I loved it. Our mismatched furniture, our stupid arguments about whose turn it was to take out the trash, our Sunday mornings tangled in bed sheets and half-awake kisses. If there were red flags, I painted them white and called them quirks. The way his phone was always face down on the table, the new late meetings that weren't on his calendar before, the nights he came home smelling like a perfume that wasn't mine. Client drinks, he'd say, shrugging off his jacket. Networking never ends. I'd nod and push away the knot in my stomach. Because anxious girls are crazy, right? Because if you ask too many questions, suddenly you're the problem. And I didn't want to be the problem. I wanted to be the solution, the supportive girlfriend, the one who believed in him no matter what. So when he started taking more trips, for work, I kissed him goodbye at the door and told him to be safe. Even the day everything shattered started out ordinary. I was at home, pajama pants, messy bun, laptop on the coffee table as I rushed to finish a deadline. His flight wasn't due back from Chicago until that evening. I was halfway through a wireframe when my phone buzzed. Mia, is Ethan back already? I frowned. Me. No, why? A pause. 3 gray dots. Then, Mia. Then who did I just see at Luca's? Holding hands with a brunette in a red dress. My chest clenched. Ethan loved Luca's. That place is our thing, he always said. Never been there with anyone else. My vision blurred. I forced my fingers to type. Me. Are you sure it was him? Mia. Ava. I'm literally 3 tables away. They're sharing dessert. I'm so sorry. I stared at the screen, feeling like the ground was dissolving underneath me. I tried to rationalize. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's a cousin. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. I called him. No answer. I called again. Voicemail. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely grab my keys. I don't even remember the drive there. Just the sound of my heartbeat and the way my mind kept screaming. Don't be right. Don't be right. Don't be right. When I walked into Luca's, the hostess smiled politely. Do you have a reservation? I'm just meeting someone, I managed. The restaurant was dim, lit with fairy lights, candles flickering on each table. It was beautiful. I wanted to burn it to the ground. I scanned the room. And then I saw him, Ethan, back turned to me slightly, leaning forward, laughing, holding hands across the table with a woman I'd never seen before. Brunette, elegant, red dress, the kind of woman you see in perfume ads. He looked relaxed, happy, like this wasn't a mistake, like this was normal. She brushed a smudge of chocolate off his lip with her thumb. He kissed her wrist. Something inside me broke. I don't remember walking over. I remember Mia's wide eyes from across the room, the way she shook her head slightly, like, you don't have to do this. But I did. I stopped at their table. Ethan looked up, annoyance flickering across his face for a split second. Before he registered, it was me. Then his face drained of color. Ava, he choked. What are you? Hi, I said, my voice trembling but clear. I thought your flight got delayed. The brunette's hand slipped out of his. Who is this? She asked, looking between us. Ethan opened his mouth, but I beat him to it. I'm his girlfriend, I said. A man at the next table dropped his fork. The brunette's eyes went wide. Girlfriend, she turned to Ethan. You said you were single. Every eye in that corner of the restaurant was on us. He swallowed. Ava, listen, it's not what you think. Really? I laughed. The sound sharp and loud and so unlike me that I startled myself. Because it looks like you flew back early to take another woman to our restaurant. Our restaurant. Our place. Our life. He stood up, hands stretched toward me, like I was something fragile he could still fix. Ava, please, I know this looks bad, but if you just let me explain. What's her name? I asked the brunette, cutting him off. She hesitated. Leah. close enough to mine that it felt like a cruel joke. "Leah," I said, forcing a smile, "I don't know what he told you, but Ethan and I live together. We've been together for 3 years. He met my parents. We were planning a future." Her face crumpled. "What? I'm sorry you had to find out like this," I said. "I meant it. The only person I wasn't sorry for was him." He stepped closer. "Ava, can we please talk about this at home?" I looked at him, at the man who'd held my face and promised me forever, who'd smiled at me in the dark like I was his whole world. "I don't think we have a home anymore," I said. Then I walked out. I held myself together until I got to my car. Then I screamed until my throat burned. Heartbreak, awakening. I thought the worst part would be seeing him with someone else. It wasn't. The worst part was the week after. The messages, the calls, the apologies that poured into my phone like a broken faucet that wouldn't stop dripping. I messed up. I was confused. She didn't mean anything. "You're the one I love. Please, Ava, please talk to me." I didn't answer the first day, or the second. On the third, he showed up at the apartment. I almost didn't open the door, but a part of me needed answers more than it needed distance. He stood there, hair messy, eyes red, like he hadn't slept. "Can I come in?" he asked. Something inside me wanted to say no, but I stepped aside. He walked in slowly, like he was afraid the furniture would yell at him. His eyes swept over the living room, the couch where we'd watched movies, the plant he bought me that I'd somehow managed not to kill. "Ava," he started, turning to me, "I'm so sorry." "Are you?" I folded my arms. "Or are you just sorry I found out?" He flinched. "I never meant for it to go this far," he said. "It started as, I don't know, a distraction. I was stressed. I felt lost. She was just there. It was nothing compared to what we have." I stared at him. He looked genuinely wrecked. The old me would have softened. The new me was just tired. "So you cheated on me because you were stressed?" I asked. "That's your defense?" "I didn't plan to," he said quickly. "It just kind of happened." I laughed bitterly. "Right. Like tripping and falling into someone's life for 3 months is an accident." His jaw tightened. 3 months isn't... He cut himself off, eyes widening. My stomach turned. 3 months, I repeated quietly. "You've been seeing her for 3 months?" Silence. That told me everything. Something inside me cooled. Not shattered or exploded, just turned to ice. "How long have you been lying to me?" I asked. "How many Lucas trips? How many late meetings? How many times did you look me in the eye and say you loved me right after texting her?" "Ava, please." "No," I snapped. "You don't get to please me anymore." He took a step closer. "I broke up with her. As soon as you left the restaurant, I ended it." "Congratulations," I said flatly. "Do you want a trophy?" He ran a hand through his hair. "I know I don't deserve you. I know I screwed up. But we've built a life together. We live together. We have plans. Don't throw all of that away because of one mistake." "One mistake?" My voice rose. "One mistake is kissing someone at a party. One mistake is a drunken text you regret. You made a series of choices, over and over, for 3 months, and every single time, you chose yourself and your ego over me." He stared at me, helpless. "What do you want me to say?" "I want you to tell me the truth," I said. "Did you ever really love me?" His shoulders slumped. "Yes," he whispered. "I do. I always have." I searched his face, the face I'd once trusted more than my own reflection. I realized something then. It didn't matter whether he thought he loved me. Love without respect isn't love. It's possession. "I can't do this," I said quietly. "I can't unsee what I saw. I can't unknow what I know." He reached for my hand. I stepped back. "Ava, we can go to therapy. We can..." "No," I said, voice firm this time. "You can go to therapy. You can figure out why you need to sabotage the best things in your life. But I'm not going to be your rehab center." His eyes filled with tears. "So that's it? You're just done?" I felt my own tears spill over. "Yes," I choked. "I'm done." He left that night, slamming the door so hard a picture frame fell. I picked it up, the photo of us at the beach, his arms wrapped around me, sun in our eyes. My hands trembled. Then, for the first time since this whole thing started, I did something that wasn't about him. I put the frame down, walked to the kitchen, and poured myself a glass of water. I drank it slowly, focusing on every sip. "You're still here," I told myself. "He broke the relationship, not you." The heartbreak didn't disappear overnight. It settled in my chest like a bruise, aching in waves. I cried, a lot, on the bathroom floor at 2 a.m., into my pillow, in the shower where the water could disguise it. I replayed every moment in my head, hunting for signs I'd missed, scenes I'd misread. Was he texting her while lying in bed next to me? Did he tell her the same jokes he told me? Did he call her my brilliant girl, too? Self-blame is a sneaky thing. It wears your voice, uses your memories, slashes at your confidence. Maybe if I'd been prettier, less busy, more fun. Then one night, Mia came over with wine, ice cream, and that look that said she was ready to either comfort me or help me bury a body. "I'm not going to tell you he wasn't worth your tears," she said, plopping down next to me on the couch. "Because clearly, you loved him. So, he was worth something. But he's not worth your future." I sniffed. "It doesn't feel like I have one without him." She nudged me. "That's the lie you built your life around. Not him. The idea that he was the center of your universe. He wasn't. You existed before him. You'll exist after him." "I just feel so stupid," I whispered. "How did I not see it? How long was I living in this fake reality?" She looked at me, eyes soft but firm. "You weren't stupid. You were trusting. You loved him. That doesn't make you weak. It makes him a coward for exploiting it." Something shifted in me. I was tired of being the girl who got cheated on. I wanted to be the woman who got back up, not just out of spite, out of self-respect. That night, as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, a new thought slipped in between the grief and the self-loathing. He didn't just break my heart. He broke his own mask, and I could decide what to do with the pieces. Planning the revenge. Revenge has a reputation. We picture slashed tires, screaming matches, thrown drinks, social media exposés typed in all caps. That's not what I wanted. I didn't want to go to jail. I didn't want to become a version of myself I wouldn't recognize. I wanted him to feel what I had felt. Exposed. Small. Like the truth had walked into the room and pulled the rug out from under his carefully controlled life. And I wanted to walk away with my head held high, not my hands dirty. So I started with the facts. Fact: Ethan worked in a company that cared deeply about public image. Integrity was a buzzword that their HR department practically tattooed on their foreheads. Fact: He was up for a major promotion. His boss, Daniel, adored him, saw him as the future of the company. Fact: The company had a yearly gala where employees brought their partners, and the CEO gave speeches about values and culture. Fact: Ethan had been chosen to give the keynote this year on the topic of because the universe has a twisted sense of humor, trust. He'd told me months ago, beaming, "I want you there in the front row, babe. I couldn't have gotten here without you." Back then, I'd hugged him and told him I was proud. Now I just saw an opportunity. I didn't text him. I didn't call. I let the silence stretch for a week. In that time, I moved out half of my things. Not chaotically, strategically. Important documents, my clothes, my favorite books, little pieces of myself that I didn't want to leave in a place that no longer felt like home. I found a sublet with a coworker. signed a short-term lease. I didn't post anything on social media. I didn't announce a breakup. I didn't subtweet him. I stayed quiet because I wanted him to believe there was still a chance. When he finally texted me about the gala, his message was cautious. The company event is next Friday. I know things are bad, but it would mean a lot if you came. We can talk afterwards. Please. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then, for the first time in days, I smiled. I wrote back, "Okay, I'll be there." He replied instantly, "Thank you. You won't regret it." I wasn't so sure about that, but he would. In the week leading up to the gala, I did my homework. Not hacking or anything illegal, just paying attention. I printed out photos of us, sweet ones and formal ones. I found an old email he'd sent me, bragging about how his promotion would make us an example couple at the company. I scrolled back through our messages, screenshotting things that showed how long we'd been together, how deeply intertwined our lives were. I also did something I never thought I'd do. I reached out to Leah. It took me 2 days to work up the courage. My thumb hovered over the send button more times than I could count. In the end, I didn't send a long message. Just, "Hey, it's Ava. I don't blame you. I think we both deserve the truth. Would you be willing to talk?" She replied within an hour. "I'd like that. I had no idea about you. I'm so sorry." We met at a coffee shop across town. She was even more beautiful up close, which weirdly made it easier to talk to her. It forced me to confront the truth. He hadn't cheated because I wasn't enough. He cheated because he wasn't. He told me he'd just gotten out of something messy, she said, stirring her latte nervously. That his ex was unstable and controlling. That she kept trying to trap him into staying. My jaw clenched. Of course he did. I would never have agreed to see him if I'd known. She added quickly, I'm not that person." "I know," I said softly. "I treated you like the enemy that night. I'm sorry. You were just as lied to as I was." Her eyes filled. "He said he loved me. He talked about moving in together. But when you showed up, the way he reacted," she shook her head. "I realized I was living in a fraction of his life, and he wanted me to stay there." We were quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question that had been lurking since I texted her. "So what now?" she said. "Are you going to forgive him?" I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. "No," I said. "I'm going to make sure he never does this to anyone else again." She studied me. "What does that mean?" "It means," I said slowly, "that his company thinks they're promoting a man of honesty and integrity. His boss thinks he's a role model. His colleagues think we're the perfect couple. And he's about to stand on stage and give a speech about trust." A realization flickered in her eyes. "You're going to tell them?" "I'm going to tell the truth," I said, calmly, clearly, without yelling, without drama, just facts. "And you want me there?" she asked. I hesitated. "I won't ask you to be in the middle of it if you're not ready," I said. "You're already dealing with enough." She thought for a moment. Then she straightened. "I'll be there," she said. "If he lied about us, he can face both of our truths." We exchanged numbers and, weirdly, a sense of solidarity. We were two women who'd been playing roles in a story we didn't write. It was time to take the pen back. The confrontation, the night of the gala, I stood in front of the mirror, staring at myself. I chose a black dress. Nothing too flashy. Elegant. Simple. A red lip that made me feel like my reflection belonged to someone stronger than I felt. "You look like the final boss in a video game," Mia commented from my bed, where she was scrolling on her phone. "In a good way." I laughed. "Is that supposed to be comforting?" "Obviously." She stood and squeezed my shoulders. "You sure you want to do this?" "Yes," I said. My voice shook a little, but the word felt right. Solid. "I'm not doing this just for revenge. I'm doing it so I can stop carrying this alone. So the world he's lied to sees him clearly. She nodded. Then go remind him who he messed with. The hotel ballroom was packed. Glittering dresses, polished shoes, laughter that sounded just a touch too loud. Ethan found me almost immediately. Ava, he breathed, eyes raking over me. You look, wow. Thanks, I said coolly. He leaned in like he was going to kiss my cheek. I stepped back just enough that his lips met air. His smile faltered. I'm really glad you came, he said, trying to recover. I've been working on this speech for weeks. I can't wait for you to hear it. I'm sure it'll be memorable, I replied. He laughed uncertainly, then got distracted by a coworker calling his name. As he turned, he put a hand on my lower back, gentle, possessive. I resisted the urge to shrug it off. Not yet, I reminded myself. Almost. I spotted Daniel, his boss, talking to the CEO near the stage. I took a breath and approached them. Ava, Daniel said warmly, so good to see you. Looking forward to Ethan's speech? Yes, I said, smiling. Actually, I was wondering, would it be okay if I said a few words before he starts? About what trust has meant in our relationship. The CEO beamed. That sounds perfect. Personal stories always land well with the audience. Daniel nodded. I love it. Just a minute or two, yeah? Of course, I said. I walked away, heart pounding. Mia caught my eye from across the room and gave me a small thumbs up. Then I saw her, Leah. She stood near the back in a simple navy dress, hair pulled back. She looked nervous, but when our eyes met, she nodded once. I nodded back. Game on. When it was finally time for the speeches, the lights dimmed. Tonight, the CEO said into the microphone, we're focusing on one of our core values, trust. No one embodies that value more than Ethan Walker, who has been an incredible asset to this company. Applause filled the room. Ethan smiled, humble and proud, hands folded in front of him. But before Ethan speaks, the CEO continued, his partner, Ava, would like to share a few words. The applause shifted to polite curiosity. Ethan turned to me, surprised, but pleased. He mouthed, thank you. I walked up to the stage, heels clicking on the polished floor, and took the microphone, which brings us back to where we started. I was asked to talk about trust, I said, scanning the crowd, about what it looks like in a relationship, about what it feels like to be with someone who values integrity as much as you do. I looked at Ethan. For 3 years, I continued, Ethan and I have been together. We moved in, made plans, built a life. People would tell us we were lucky, that we made them believe in love again. A few people nodded. I recognized some of them from company retreats, dinner parties. In many ways, I felt lucky, I said. I believed I'd found someone honest, someone safe, someone who wouldn't do the things I'd watched break other people. I paused. Then, a few weeks ago, I got a text from a friend. She'd seen Ethan at a restaurant that was supposed to be our place. Only, he wasn't alone. He was with another woman, holding her hand, kissing her wrist, telling her the same kinds of things he told me. A ripple went through the audience. I heard someone whisper, "Oh my God." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Ethan stand. "Ava," he said, voice tight. "Not here." I kept my gaze on the crowd. "I went to that restaurant," I said. "I saw them. I found out he'd been lying to me for 3 months, living a double life, making me feel crazy when I questioned his late nights or his secretive phone habits. I finally turned to him. "You told me I was the only one," I said. "You told her you were single." His face was pale now, jaw clenched. "Ava, this is not the time," he grated. "We can discuss this like adults." "I am discussing it like an adult," I said calmly. "No yelling, no drama, just the truth in a room full of people who base promotions on integrity." Silence. You could hear the tension vibrating in the air. I continued, voice steady. Trust isn't just about not cheating, I said. It's about not making the person you claim to love feel insane for noticing something is wrong. It's about not using their loyalty as a shield while you do whatever you want behind their back. I glanced at the CEO, then at Daniel. Their faces were unreadable but alert. I'm not here to ruin anyone's career, I said. I'm not here to ask you to fire him. That's your decision. I'm just here to make sure that when you call someone an example of integrity, you know exactly who you're dealing with. I took a breath. And I'm also here for her. I nodded toward the back. All heads turned as Leah stepped forward, hesitant but resolute. Leah, I said, do you want to tell them how you met Ethan? He hissed under his breath. Ava, stop this. She walked up to the front, took the second mic the tech handed her, and swallowed. He told me he was single, she said quietly, that his ex was obsessed with him, that she wouldn't let go. He said he was trying to get away from a toxic situation. Gasps. I didn't know about Ava, she went on. When I found out at the restaurant, I ended things. I'm not here for vengeance. I'm here because I don't want to be part of a lie. The room felt like it was holding its breath. Ethan finally snapped. This isn't fair, he burst out. You're making me look like a monster in front of everyone over something that's... Over what? I said softly. A mistake? A phase? A distraction? Which word makes your conscience feel better? He glared at me, rage and panic flickering in his eyes. You're blowing this out of proportion. I tilted my head. Am I? I turned back to the audience. I don't expect everyone here to be perfect, I said. We all mess up. We all fail people we love in some way. But if you're going to stand on a stage and preach about trust, you should at least have the decency to try practicing it at home. A woman in the front row nodded, lips pursed. I looked at Ethan one last time. For what it's worth, I said, voice softening just a fraction. I did love you, with everything I had. I wanted to spend my life with you, but I love myself more now, and I won't stand by while you paint yourself as a hero in a story where you were the one swinging the sword. I handed the microphone back to the stunned CEO. Thank you for listening, I said. Then I walked off the stage. Behind me, I heard the CEO clear his throat. I think we're going to take a short break before continuing the program. The room exploded into whispers. Mia was waiting near the exit. You okay? She asked, eyes searching mine. I exhaled a breath I felt like I'd been holding for months. Yeah, I said quietly. I think I am. The win. Ethan tried to talk to me after. Of course he did. He cornered me in the hallway outside the ballroom, his composure shattered. What the hell was that? He hissed. Do you have any idea what you just did to my reputation, to my career? I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, I didn't feel small. I didn't do anything to your reputation, I said. You did. I just stopped helping you hide it. You blindsided me, Ava, he said, voice rising. In front of my boss, in front of my entire company, you made me look like a villain. If the shoe fits, I replied. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing. Do you know how hard I've worked for this promotion, for this life? You've just ruined. I cut him off. I didn't ruin anything. You did that the moment you decided your ego was worth more than our relationship. He stopped, chest heaving. I said I was sorry, he snapped. I broke it off with her. I chose you. Isn't that what matters? No, I said. What matters is that I had to learn the truth by walking into a restaurant and seeing you with someone else. What matters is that you lied to both of us. What matters is that you only chose me after you got caught. His face twisted. So this is your payback? Public humiliation? This isn't payback, I said softly. This is accountability. He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. Maybe he didn't. Maybe I didn't either. Ava, he said finally, voice breaking, I love you. Once, those words would have cracked me. Now they just sounded like a habit he hadn't unlearned yet. No, I said gently. You love how I made you feel about yourself. There's a difference. He swallowed hard, eyes shining. You'll regret this, he whispered. Maybe, I replied, but at least I'll regret it as someone who stood up for herself. I turned and walked away. He didn't follow. In the weeks that followed, things changed. I heard through the grapevine, mostly from a friend who also worked at his company, that the promotion had been put on hold, that HR had concerns about his judgment, that his perfect image had cracks now. He wasn't fired. I hadn't wanted that. But he was no longer the golden boy who could do no wrong. He was human, flawed, exposed, and that was enough. As for me, at first, it was weird. Waking up in my new apartment, without the familiar weight of his arm around me. Making coffee for one, seeing couples on the street, and feeling that sharp, bitter jealousy twist in my chest. I went to therapy, not to talk about him, but to talk about me. Why I'd ignored red flags. Why I'd been so willing to make myself small, to keep the peace. Why I thought my worth was tied to being chosen. I feel like I failed, I told my therapist one day. Like I couldn't keep my relationship together. And that means I wasn't enough. She looked at me, kind but firm. You didn't fail, she said. You refused to participate in your own disrespect. That's not failure, that's growth. I started to believe her. Slowly, I took myself on dates, solo movie nights, long walks with my favorite playlist. I reconnected with friends I'd drifted from when my world had shrunk around Ethan. I said yes to things I'd always wanted to do, but had put off. A pottery class, a solo weekend trip, applying for a promotion at my own job that I'd convinced myself I wasn't ready for. Spoiler, I got it. There were still bad days. Days when a song or a scent or a random street corner would punch a memory into my chest so hard I had to stop and breathe through it. Healing wasn't linear, but every time I chose myself, the past lost a little bit more of its power over me. Months later, I saw him again. I was leaving a coffee shop, balancing a latte and my laptop bag, when I heard my name. Ava? I turned. He looked smaller. Not physically, just dimmer, as if someone had turned down the brightness on his life. Hey, I said. Awkward silence stretched between us. How are you? He asked eventually. I'm good, I said. And for once, it was true. You? He shrugged. Been better. He hesitated. I wanted to say... He cleared his throat. I'm sorry. Not just for cheating. For making you doubt yourself. For twisting things so you'd feel crazy for asking questions. You didn't deserve that. I held his gaze for a moment. Thank you, I said. I appreciate that. He nodded, eyes dropping. I heard you got promoted. I smiled. Yeah, you always were the talented one, he said softly. Guess I was too busy being full of myself to see it. I didn't argue. We stood there. Two people who'd once planned a life together. Now just two strangers with a shared history. I hope you're happy, he said finally. Really? I hope you learn, I replied. Really? We parted ways. I didn't look back. Final message and CTA. So here's what I learned. Revenge isn't always fire and chaos. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's walking away with your head held high, while the person who hurt you has to sit with the truth of who they are. Sometimes it's healing so completely that their name doesn't sting anymore. My revenge wasn't destroying his career or making him suffer every second of every day. My revenge was refusing to let his betrayal define me, to stop seeing myself as the girl who got cheated on, and start seeing myself as the woman who chose herself. So if you're listening to this, and your heart feels like it's been ripped out, if you're sitting there wondering what you did wrong, Let me say this clearly. You didn't deserve to be lied to. You didn't deserve to be made to feel small. You didn't deserve to be someone's half-truth. You deserve a love that doesn't require you to abandon yourself to keep it. And if you're in the middle of your own heartbreak, your own betrayal, your own quiet revenge and rebirth, I want you to remember this. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to outgrow the people who refuse to treat you with respect. You are allowed to rebuild from the ruins of what they destroyed. Because in the end, the most powerful revenge is not making them cry. It's becoming so whole without them that they no longer have any power over your story. So when I think back to that night on the stage, microphone in my hand, my heart hammering against my ribs, I don't just remember the fear. I remember the moment I chose me, and I'd choose that again every single time. Revenge wasn't about destroying him. It was about rebuilding myself. If you've ever been broken and stood back up, this story is for you. Don't forget to like, share this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more stories.